All right. Good evening, everyone. This is our Monday, the 10th of April, before we head out to Bennett for the regional casting competition. So Carl is going to tie up the Frenchie, which is a good, you know, uh, fly for Bennett for sure. It's a good attractor fly, great for trout and bluegill, and even some bass will take it. So I'm going to spotlight Carl and then we'll let him take over. So, all right, Carl, go for it.
All right. Thanks, Mick. I saw this pattern in Tim Camisa's book, and and as we kind of touched on last week, we were talking about a lot of these jig hooks, the Euro style nymphs for fishing, where you're fishing these. You could use them on the bottom of a hopper dropper. You'd fish it with a non-slip loop, and as you're in the water, then it'll be moving up and down as you're pulling up. And so it's another way. It's kind of like a reverse. This is like a reverse pheasant tail nymph in a sense, because it's instead of just a regular pheasant tail nymph that you fish like this, you're basically putting a slotted bead head on a jig hook, and the jig hook, I don't know what I want to call it, trend, cult, something, but there seems to be a lot of that. And then as I thought about it over the years here a little bit, especially the last few years, and Hardgrove was telling me one day a few years ago when I came up here to when we were in Alabama, we came up here to do our Larson fish trip, family fish trip that we've done the last few years. He shows me this little jig with a piece of white thread on it, and I'm like, well, that's not going to catch anything. And so I didn't even look like a bug. So I used it at the trout park, and we caught several fish with it. So I got to thinking about the whole jig hook thing. And in fact, in Camisa's book, all his nymphs are basically jig hooks. And there was I don't know if you guys listened to Tom Rosenbauer's most recent podcast. The guy was asking a question about, the hooks with the wider gape that seems to be more prevalent these days. And, just a few comments on the trend of that. This is a very simple fly to tie in a sense, very productive. I've caught a lot of fish at Bennett with a pheasant tail nymph, but most of it's been fishing really deep and really fast, getting it down, especially when the water's up high. A weighted nymph like this with a tungsten bead head, getting down, I could see being very productive. In fact, Scott's first fish he caught last year at Bennett was on a jig head, a very heavy weighted jig head, and fished it with an indicator, and it was very productive for him. So of course that jig head Scott was fishing was a lot heavier than this one, and the water was really, really tough to get down because they'd had so much rain. But once we got it down there and get again into the column where the fish were, it was bam, bam, bam. So it's a very productive fly in its pattern. The Frenchie here in this manner, I'm going to tie it a little different than Tim Camisa's, or it's going to be a little, or if you guys watch the YouTube video from Fly Fish Food that Mick sent along, Lance Egan, a pretty famous competition fly fisher who works for Fly Fish Food now, on one of their podcasts, it was pretty funny because he said, those guys cracked me up, but he said, they talk about sometimes when the customers come in the shop and the things they say. And Lance Egan was saying, yeah, this guy came in and and Lance Egan ties a Frenchie that's in their shop, and he's known for his version of it. But this pattern was basically used in competition fishing, and the French, in their competition fishing have used this, this very same pattern. And so it's obviously, if you're in competition fishing, you want to try to catch fish. And so apparently he's been recognized for his version of it. And a gentleman came in and said, I need to talk to the Frenchman Lance Egan, and he's talking to Lance Egan, and Lance Egan says he doesn't even know that he's talking to me. He goes, yeah, this guy, his last name is Lance Egan. He's like putting this French name on it, and Lance Egan saying, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Scottish. He goes, no, it's a French name. So yeah. Anyway, I thought it was pretty funny, but a simple pattern, fun to tie. You can dye a dozen of these in an hour if you have all of your stuff set up. So we'll get started with that. Any questions on how to fish this or anything thus far? All right. I'm going to use a size 14 jig hook. This is Umpqua's 560 BL, which is black. And I've already put this is not a slotted bead. I think any bead that you can get that you can put over it, that you can still get to the eye of the hook just fine, works. So I've already put one on to save myself the embarrassment of trying to put it on in front of you guys. So, all right. So you can fish these weighted or non-weighted. I'm going to weight this one because we want to try to, the idea is to get it down fast into the profile where the fish are at. So, and so I'm going to use that in a sense, and I'm also going to help that lead wire wrap be part of a little bit of the taper that we're going to build on this thing. So tungsten slotted bead or some sort of bead. I've got other beads that I haven't tried it with. I bought some of these online, some of these. This one happens to be a 2.5 millimeter. There's some other ones I bought online, tungsten ones that have got some green and fluorescent orange and that kind of stuff. You could probably use that and not have to use a hot spot. The hot spot is this bright orange part that we have on top of the fly here right at the head. I'm going to be putting that on last. You could have it without a hot spot as well. Basically, it's whatever you want to do with it. And you don't have to use orange. You could use yellow or any other kind of bright color. And as Mick says, it's kind of an attractor. And I don't know if that's so much attractor. I think it's just like, it makes the fish look at it and go, oh, that looks like food. I need to go get it. So, something that just basically catch their attention, because trout do have a sense of, of color. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to put, let's see. Well, the other thing we're going to need is some copper wire, obviously some pheasant tail, just a pointer on pheasant tail. In fact, it was, I don't know if it was Curtis or Lance Egan who did it on the video, but if you've got some pheasant tail that is not like the prime stuff here, what you'd like to have for different things, you could use something up at the higher end of your feather if you wanted, because you're basically just wrapping it around to make a body. And the idea is that to have, the mayfly or the Baetis type patterns, have a brown body at times. And that's one reason it's effective. It's spiraled, segmented with copper wire, which adds into the durability of the fly, because as the fish bite it, they pretty much can chew up that pheasant tail pretty quickly. And then for the dubbing for the thorax, I'm going to just be using some orange Awesome Possum dubbing. You could use some peacock if you wanted to, or some peacock dubbing. Basically, you know, you can kind of just pick your poison on what you want on that. So, you know, with the trout park, especially, I think flies there need to be, you know, something that makes that fish react more, you know, well, anytime you're fishing, you want the fish to react, but it seems to me like the trout parks need like more brighter colors sometimes to, you know, they see a lot of different things from a lot of different people all day long. So just something that's different that maybe looks like food, maybe makes it more effective. It's just kind of my theory on it. So I'm going to be using some 0.015 lead wire. I'm only going to take about 5 or 6 turns with it. And just pinch it off. You could use non-lead wire if you want to as well. This just happens to be what I have. All right, so we got that, and we're just going to jam that up here, up against the bead. That way it can help keep it in place. And I'm going to start my thread. I'm going to, whoop, wrong one. Sorry. You could use your orange thread, but that stuff's kind of expensive, so I'm just saving it for the hot spot. So I'm going to start. I'm going to be using a brown thread. I'm using a 6/0 brown thread. This is a Hemingway thread that I bought. I tried. It's pretty durable. I'm going to start a thread dam behind it, and I'm going to build a taper into it. I'm going to wrap into those windings of that lead or that wire, whatever you want to use, and start building a little bit of a taper on it. Now, tailing materials, you can use any kind of tailing material you want. I've kind of gotten hooked onto these whiting tailing packs. I've gotten to where I've watched a lot of videos on this, and I really got to where I like this stuff for doing my dry fly tails. And it's a very good tailing fiber in of itself. This is from a Coq de Leon. The initials are CDL for Coq de Leon. This is a trailing pack. It's the Pardo. So it's basically got a grizzly. The feathers on here are, I'll try to explain it the best I can with what little knowledge I do have. They're very durable in a sense for a tail. They're not like end of a barbules of your, you know, if you're pulling off of the back of your longer hackles. These are fairly long, and I don't know how many flies I've tied off of this one feather, but I'm getting down to the end of it. I bet I've tied maybe 15 or 20 nymphs off of this pattern. You only need a few of them. And the CDL is different than the CDC that, you know, we did a week or two ago. Whiting has them. But if you buy one package like this, you'll have enough for the rest of your life. And I don't remember what I paid for this, but I think I got this from Fly Fish Food. So I'm going to take off, you know, half a dozen or so, and I'm going to get them on there. And you can see, you can move them back and forth. They stay for a thin little feather. It's the hairs of it stay fairly firm. And that's kind of the idea of it, that they stay out and they stay firm to the pattern you want. So we're going to make this the length of the shank. So I'm measuring here from my thumb and forefinger and getting up to length of the shank. I'm going to go back to the end of the fly here. I'm going to get one wrap on it, get it hold where I want it. I can pull it back a little bit. And then I'm just going to do touch and wraps, and I'm holding my thumb and forefinger as I'm winding back, touching wraps, and I'm still holding the tailing fibers, as I'm moving it back. I'm going to stop right at the bend, go back up a little bit. Now we have a pretty parallel tail with the body here. I'm going to go ahead and snip the top part off. Then I'm going to go ahead and just wrap forward and wrap the rest of that in and kind of build that taper up a little bit as I go forward. Now I'm going to take some small copper wire, just the Ultra SM or small. I'm going to put that in, and I'm going to tie it up here to the top of it, and I'm going to push it up kind of up in here to the head of the bead, and I'm going to wrap it onto the top of the wire, on the top of those shank, and then I'm going to take it and I'm just going to wrap back, touching wraps back right to where my thread stops, right at the bend of the hook. And that is to add some segmentation and some durability to the fly. So I'm going to wrap back up here a little ways, get my wire up out of the way. Then I'm going to take some peacock or some pheasant tail, and I'm going to use, just to kind of save myself here tonight a little bit, to get some better dexterity, I'm going to use some longer fibers here. I got plenty of pheasant feathers, so I don't care if I burn through another one. Some people will trim these before they put them on, some won't. I personally like to trim mine, just because I like to get a square start and not miss any of the feathers. So I'm going to just trim a little bit off. I'm going to hold it off at a 45-degree angle up against the side of the hook shank, grab it, and then I'm just going to wrap forward, or excuse me, wrap backwards toward the bend, and then I'm going to stop. And then I'm just going to wrap forward, touching wraps all the way in, and those extra feathers that are in there will help build your taper to your fly. All right, now you can do one of two things. You don't have to do this, but you could do a half hitch if you wanted to here. I'm just going to put one in there. It's not absolutely necessary. Then I'm going to take my pheasant feathers. I'm going to hold them straight up. I'm going to wrap it around, carefully missing the eye, or careful missing the hook, and wrap, touching wraps all the way forward. And the small part of the pheasant tail adds like some of the gills would look like on, you know, a little nymph, and that's probably part of that action thing. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap, get a couple turns on that, and get that secure. And go ahead and trim this part off, and I'm going to wrap a couple more wraps here to kind of just tie it in up against that bead. Now I wrapped towards you. I'm going to wrap the opposite way and counter wrap it, and that's supposed to add the durability of it, but I don't know if one way over the other really helps one or not, but that's what the experts do, so that's what I'm doing. So I got about 4 or 5 turns here wrapped.
Carl, I think the other thing that it does when you wrap, when you counter wrap, is that if you wrap it in the same direction, they tend to, the copper wire could tend to fall into the seams between the previous wraps. If you counter wrap it, they're going to go across them, and I think you get a little bit more visibility of your wire wrap.
Well, that makes sense. I could see that. All right, now you can trim this off, or you could just helicopter it. If you get a wrap up behind it and then up in front of it, you got it sticking straight up between the 2 threads. So it makes it a lot easier to helicopter it. So you just hold it and twist it, and then it kind of just stays in place that way. And sometimes it works really good, and sometimes it takes a little bit more. So, all right, now what we're going to do is I'm going to wrap back up here, just one wrap. And I'm going to put just a very, very thin amount of dubbing for a little bit of a thorax. And you could do this in any color you wanted to. I mean, you know, if you're going for the attractor side of it, you know, you could orange. If you're just trying to make more of a natural look, you could do something else. You know, I think the size is probably the most important thing of this, of the fly or the bug, than anything. So I've only got about, on the camera, it looks like I got quite a bit, but you're like 3 inches away from this thing on the camera. But I've probably only got maybe 2 inches at the most of a very thin noodle. Get a few wraps of that. And that's basically that. So then I'm going to do a 4 or 5 turn whip finish here. Now you could fish it like this if you wanted to and leave it alone. You know, I like the little buggy, the buggy part of this thing. You can kind of clean up any extra flyway hairs if you wanted to. Don't think it matters a lot. So I'm going to take some fire orange uni thread. This is an 8/0 thread. It's a pretty thick thread, it only takes a few turns of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get it started here. Get about 3 wraps on there just to kind of hold it. I'm going to trim it up tight. Get a few turns on that, and then do a whip finish. There you go. Now you can go tie 100 of these things.
Very nice.
So Carl, let me ask you this. That style of fly is what I would call a perdigan.
Yes.
Do you know, is a Frenchie a type of perdigan, or is it another name for a perdigan, or is there something different between the two?
From a pattern standpoint, to me, I don't think there's anything different between the two, because the perdigans are basically, what I know about them is when the Euros type of streamer fishing came on basically from Europe on the competition side, the perdigan was one of their competition flies. And the only difference between this and a perdigan is the physics. From what I can pick up, it's just basically the physics of it, because the perdigan's a smooth, thin fly to get it down quick.
Okay.
This is more bulky, you know, where this isn't going to go down as quick as a perdigan or a heavily weighted perdigan. But it's basically the same thing, Jim.
Okay. Yeah, and another thing, and I tie flies very similar to what you got right there. And a lot of times I will add a CDC collar on it, and that CDC just looks like it gives, you know, illusion of motion or whatever.
Yeah, I was playing with that myself, although here's some here. There's another one in his book here.
Yeah, there you go.
He calls it a CDC quill body jig nymph. And so I was playing with that too. This one, I thought about trying to do this one tonight, but this one requires strip peacock herl for the body, and you put some UV glue over it. And but yeah, you're right, Jim. I'm kind of excited. I want to really try this out.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I think it's that European, I'm just calling it European style fishing, or Euro style fishing in a sense, because anything you're doing to drop it down quick to get it down there, and perdigons are typically always very smooth bodies with a, and they have a big head on them where they just boom, drop down very quickly. Because I think kind of the thought of it is that when you're competition fishing or you're fishing just in general, the quicker you can get it down to the flies column, the more chances you're going to have that fish be able to see it.
Well,
Versus,
correct me if I'm wrong, Carl and Jim, but Euro nymphing, or as I understand it, is the concept behind it is to get the fly down in a hurry, but keep your fly line off the water.
Yes.
Kind of like what we do over here is high sticking. Is that right? So,
Yeah. And honestly, I'm not sure what the difference between high sticking and Euro nymphing is. It's
Okay.
the same idea.
because the interesting thing is that's exactly the way I fish with a tenkara. I keep the line off the water. So, all three of them seem to have a lot in common.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's getting the fly into the column where the fish is at, plain and simple, and the high sticking. I was reading, if you go back and read Tom Rosenbauer's book, Fly Fishing Tactics, that he wrote like 20 years ago, and this is before I even heard the term Euro fishing, Euro style fishing. And I don't know when that got into the country or whatever. The fad or whatever you want to call it, the way to do it. He talked a lot about high sticking as well in his book as a method for nymphing, but he doesn't mention in the book, because I remember when I got into that, I reread that part going, is he talking about Euro nymphing here? And he doesn't mention that. So that book was written 20 some years ago. So
yeah, I don't think it's been here very long. It seems to me the first time I heard it was about 10, maybe 12 years ago, when somebody started talking about it, either Al Beatty or maybe it was Kelly Gallup or somebody.
Yeah. So but I think just the concept of using a jig hook to fish with it's different in itself, because when I first learned to fly fish, it was only dry flies. I never even knew of nymphs till I came to Missouri. I didn't even know that was a thing, fishing with nymphs. I heard wet flies and dry flies, and that's what I knew in the world that I grew up in. And I go out with a guide one time, and he was like, yeah, we're gonna use nymphs. And I'm like, oh, like a wet fly? He goes, no, well, yeah, no, well, let me explain it. And so then I was like, oh, well, that makes sense, because the fish are down there. So, you go with a guide, you're paying him, he wants you to catch fish. So you nymph fish when, there's no dry flies going up. So
yeah, Carl, you're dating yourself now, because I remember tying flies the same way. You tie dry flies and wet flies. And the wet flies were like lead wing coachman or something like that. And I don't know what they were supposed to simulate. It wasn't until I got to Colorado in the late 70s, early 70s, that I found out that there was another kind of wet fly called a nymph. So
So a little story on how effective these things can be. One night, I have a tendency to hang out at Hargrove's usually on Wednesday nights, and there's always many conversations going on. And I'm listening to this one conversation, and this is in the wintertime, the winter catch and release season. And they're talking about perdigons and how they don't like perdigons. And the conversation kind of went like this. Guy was saying, yeah, I hate perdigons. I was down at Montauk the other day, and I started fishing perdigons, and I was just catching one fish after another. So apparently he wasn't getting enough of a challenge
right.
fishing these things. So he didn't like it because the fishing was too easy.
He was catching too many fish. It wasn't any fun.
That's right.
You don't get time to look at the other birds and stuff like that, like I like to do.
That's a problem I'd like to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's funny, Jim. That's a neat story to hear. I mean, it's just, you know, and I have a friend down in Nashville. He, a few years back, he got into he goes, I'm going to try out this Euro nymphing. You know, I'm out down Alabama. He's like, I got a buddy and he does this Euro nymphing. And he says, you can just kill the fish doing Euro nymphing. And I'm like, I hope you're not killing the fish. No, I mean, you're killing it, like catch a lot of fish. Like, oh, okay. And he texts me back, you know, a few days later after he got back. He goes, this is cheating. This is absolutely cheating. He said, Euro nymphing is cheating. That's all there is to it. And I'm like, so you're going to continue to do it? He goes, I don't know. He said, you know, it's kind of that story you're talking about, Jim. It was like, you just put it in there and catch a fish. It's like, oh, that's it.
Well, I tell you, you know, Terry, come on down. I'll let you use one of my 10-carat rods, and you'll be in the same situation. You know, all you got to
Okay.
do is throw a little Sakasa Kabari at them, and they will just they fight to get to the hook with that fly.
Okay.
First liar doesn't have a chance.
All right. Good one, Carl. That's really good. And I think those that are going to be coming to Bennett, if you tie those up, those are going to be winners for sure. It is basically a very colorful thread jig with a little bit more cooler materials that make it, you know, not so simple. You know, those work great. I have them, and that's one of the flies that I will be tying on, was it Saturday night? Using different materials. That's always the one thing I try to tell everyone. Yeah, there's a pattern, and maybe if you are going for the FFI bronze, silver, and gold, you know, certificate, then you do have to follow the pattern to the T. But for most of us who just want to go out and enjoy tying flies and then using them, you could use anything. So even for the body on that, I'm going to use that Jameson wool that I have. So we'll be tying more of these come Saturday if you're out in Bennett.
Mick, you want to tie separating that wool too. You know, it's in several strands. You can,
yes,
yeah, and I've tied them with separated them for, especially if you're smaller flies. You know, your 18s and 20s.
that's what I do. It's even have, you know, a piece right here. You know, this is the strand of 2, but right there it's coming apart, and I use one strand on my 18s. And those do really well. You know, again, my favorite setup at Bennett, and last time I was here, I caught, you know, the most I kind of ever did in one day. And basically I'll have something like what Carl had. That'll be my first you know, fly that I tie on, and where I say it's kind of an attractor fly. It's nice, colorful. It gets the trout running up to it to take a look at it. And you know, there are times that they nail it, but what I have behind it is something that looks like the scuds that are just in the river out there. And basically that's like a size 18 zebra midge, black zebra midge.
Okay.
And I
Have
tie
you had any with that Jameson's? Have you had problems when you split it of the thread separating? I had a little bit of issues with that.
Yes, you cannot put any torque on it. So what I do is I spin it to try to cord it up a little bit, but it's not like, you know, if you have it the 2 strands, you could probably pull on that where you'd bend the hook. When you go to a single strand, you need to spin it, cord it up, but you really can't crank on it because it will start to separate.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but that works perfect. And again, you could use black zebra midge, or I do have this darker. I've got 3 different colors of Jameson. I've got the oyster, which is for the Utah killer bug, which I'll do. And then I'll have like a brown, and then I got like a black. It's got black and gray. This does a good different type of zebra midge, you know, where it's more
Yeah.
kind of buggy looking. And again, I tie that as a dropper off something like the Frenchie that Carl just did. And basically it looks like the scuds that are throughout the spring there. So they
I'm gonna bring down some cards, Mick, and I'll bring down my Jamesons as well. I'll swap you cards of mine for cards of yours.
yeah, I mean, I've got a lot. So I mean, I've got
Yeah,
a lot. So anyone
Yeah.
here again, if you're out there or not out there, if you're like, hey, Mick, can you send some of that? The stuff is great. I really like it. And how I started with this, why I'm taking it to Bennett, is I was going to do a pheasant tail nymph. And when I started practicing, my pheasant tail must be old. And while I was trying to wrap the body, it was just splintering up. And that's where I came. It's like, well, again, this is, you know, if you don't have the right material, you could use something else. And I'm like, I really do like this spindrift. So that's what my speech is going to be in our tie-in lesson on that Saturday is, you know, sometimes, you know, try something different, and I'm going to bring a bunch so everyone could try it out and tie up some flies and see. And I will be bringing up, you know, when I do the first Frenchie like that, I'll tell them I'm giving them like a size 12 hook, but if they want to drop to an 18, I have 18s come up, grab one, and just kind of split the strand up like that, and then just don't crank on it, and they turn out perfect. Like I said, then I tie that usually about a foot behind like the Frenchie or any kind of attractor pattern. And if they don't like that attractor, they get some close enough where they see that little scud looking thing behind them, and it picked up. It was twice the amount of fish that I've been normally catching with that setup. So again, if anyone wants to see that, I'll be out there from Friday, and I'll show you what I do, and I'll even hook it up on your rod if you want to try using it. So
cool. Hey, can you stick around for a few minutes afterwards, Mick? Mike Kelly wanted me to chat with you about something.
sure, no problem.
What all do we need to bring down with us, Mick?
Okay. For those of you coming like participants and all that, bring your own rod and gear for you to go fishing. If we have you hooked up with when are you showing up?
We'll be in Friday, probably around 11.
Okay, so the meal tickets will probably be handed out by then. I don't know if I'll get it to you, but if you eat at the lodge, save your receipts, and then we'll expense them when you come back. So is a
Okay.
we'll pay for your meals for going out there. Heartland, the region, is going to be taking care of Lee and Roger because they are our casting competitors for that weekend. But part of St. Louis, those who are going out there, I want to take care of them as well. So just bring your gear. I have, now that I know you're going, your waders and boots came in. So I got those.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just got your email before the meeting.
Yep. So they came in. So I'll have that for you. Lee, I have your waders and boots as well. What else? Lee, I found out that epoxy we had was bad. Not sure what happened, but I got new epoxy and I put it on my rod last night and it cured perfect. So
what do we do then?
okay, your choice right now. I could put a quick coat on your rod, but it's not like, I don't know if you want to wait and you want to do it, or I could put a quick coat on and it will be ready to fish when you show up on Wednesday. Or
It'll cure over the bad epoxy?
Yes, and that's what I did with mine. Mine is right here. It had that, you probably remember while we were doing ours together.
Right, yeah.
This is as dry as could be now. This is
Okay,
perfect. So
And I talked to Tom Hargrove about that. He's a master rod builder, and that's what he suggested is just go ahead and put another light coat over the tacky coat, and you'll be fine.
Yep.
Okay,
And that's what it is. So Lee, what do you want? Do you want me to put a light coat on for you, or do you want to wait to do it yourself? Because
I
if
can
we,
try and do it
Okay.
myself.
yes, okay. So I don't know, if you want to try to come over to my house tomorrow, and then you could put that coat on, and then I will then bring it when I head out on Wednesday, so you could use it. I don't know if you're busy tomorrow night.
But I gotta do some wheel packing on my trailer.
Okay, so that's where, we could wait, you still have rods, that
Yeah,
you use during
I
the
can,
weekend.
I can still bring my other one, yeah.
Okay, so then we'll just put that off. I didn't know if you wanted yours, for that, but you already have a rod, you're fine. So we'll wait so you could do it yourself. We still have, Eddie has to do his, Scott still has to do his, and Frank, so maybe in a few weeks when everyone's kind of up and ready, we could try to do another Saturday class and get those,
Yeah,
epoxy.
I'll just have to wait and hear from Mudhole about that top section.
Yeah, I'll give
So-
him a call as well. Maybe if we kind of tag team wrestle him, we'll get something from him.
So
So
Eddie, was that a door or a window that did that?
No, that was me rapping. I thought I had it supported, and I was rapping at the guide, and I just started up on the guide foot, and I reached down to loosen my tension, and about that time it snapped.
yeah, it sounds like you had too much tension on that.
Well, yeah, my guess is you had a bad blank. You had a faulty blank. It shouldn't, you should not be able to put more tension on it than that rod will take. I mean, after all, you could be landing, pretty good sized fish with it. So
Yeah,
my guess is you had a bad blank in there someplace. And that's what I would do. That's the approach I'd take with mud hole.
that's the approach we are going to
Yeah.
take, because
Okay.
maybe
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
a bad blank and send us
Yeah,
some.
because I put a lot of tension on mine, and I've never had one crack when it's in the it's in the wrapper.
It's right at where the guide foot was. So
Was there a chance that guide foot had a rough spot on it, maybe nicked the blank?
I didn't think so. I mean, I went back and I because I rewrapped my wrappings,
Yeah.
and I went back and I double checked and refiled them and everything. But I mean, there is a possibility to it. I mean, it's not out of that realm.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be my approach going back to mud hole. Just tell them that it broke when you were wrapping it, and they'll probably just warranty it for you.
Yeah, I'm sure they would. All right, so just going over this weekend, I kind of have Mike's email up here. So as he calls it, the sequence of events. So just to let some of you won't be there. I wish you guys were able to go, but if you could sneak out, here's some of the things that are going on. Arrival is Wednesday, the 12th. They're going to start checking in Sand Springs at noon for room assignment. So I don't think, I think Scott, who's gone, has taken up a room. Eddie, do you have a room, or will you need a room?
No, we've got our fifth wheel. We'll be down. Like I said, we're up on the hill. We're camping on
Oh, yeah,
top.
that's right. You're in 400. So yeah, so we'll be getting Scott a room for overnight. So we're good for, rooms and all that. Again, last year it was just breakfast and dinner for meals, but Mike's opened it up to breakfast, lunch, and dinner, which I don't think I could eat lunch after having one of their breakfasts, but I guess you're
Yeah, no
welcome
kidding.
to. So it's
Walt, are you gonna camp with me on my spot over there across the road?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna try to come down one day, Saturday, because my wife has had a medical condition come up today.
okay.
All right. I've
I'll
checked with the folks
try to
down there, and
get
it's perfectly okay. So if you decide to change your mind, I'm in spot 240 down there. So
Okay, 240.
So, all right. So again, breakfast, lunch, and dinner is available. The casting challenge is Thursday. So It's probably in the same spot near zone 1, right when you come into the park. He's saying he wants to start it at 10 and go to like maybe 3. I didn't see anything of him saying, some volunteers to get there a little bit early to set up, but I'll be there early, to kind of set up. He does ask from time to time for volunteers. I will make sure that I'm at every place he needs a volunteer. And if you guys want to come out to help, it's much appreciated. The casting challenge, it's just for us to kind of set up. Lee and Roger will be kind of doing their own thing, getting ready, and they'll do that. Basically, he's asking for 5 volunteers to assist with course and scoring. I did that last year. It was a lot of fun. So unless someone kicks me out of that spot, I'll do it again. It's just a good
Oh,
time.
I think it's only appropriate that you do it again. You've got all the experience and everything.
Okay, so yeah.
Besides that way, I know who to shoot in on when I'm shooting my videos.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm a big target. So
is it a conflict of interest if you score me?
no, it's we're all fair. It's not the competition you think it is.
No.
This
No.
is to have fun, and
Yeah.
it's we're all having a good time. You're gonna see Lee, like I said, you had fun how many times we've gone to Bennett. This weekend you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I didn't think it could get any better. It's gonna get better. This is a weekend to remember because it's so much fun. And then I can't believe we're gonna have like perfect weather as well.
Yeah.
It's not about the competition, Lee. It's about the camaraderie and the meeting folks. Unfortunately, my participant can't make it down. His surgery did not go well last Thursday, so hopefully next year. But yeah, hey, I'll get to meet you, and I'm looking forward to that, my friend.
Yeah. So
we've met before. Okay.
Yeah. So you and John, we'll take them spots. We might go in that zone 2, that little, where we hung out, where I got you and Scott and Margie fishing in there. We could go several places. You're going to be able to meet so many different people, and it's a good time. If you had fun at Bennett before, hold on, it gets better.
So now we're going to do a little bit of that catch and keep. Should I bring a skillet, fillet knife?
The way I do it, I
want to know how to cook fish. I don't know how to cook fish.
Okay, well,
I'll teach you how to fillet them, brother.
Yep.
Okay.
There's going to be, if you want to cook, trout up, we could easily do that. It's the way I do it is simple. I'll show you how to clean a fish, and takes you less than a minute. And then I usually grill them with the skin on, and it's quick.
Grill them with the skin on, a little bit of red wine on top of that with some lemon juice, and anything you can do to cover up the taste of the fish is great.
Tell you what you do is you take a little aluminum foil, some lemon and onions and butter, take those fillets, lay them out there, put the lemon, onions, and butter in there, and set them down just up off the campfire, and let them slow cook up through that steam get in there. Can't beat it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You really can. I prefer a good old Nebraska steak anytime.
Yeah.
There's gonna bring that grill, Mick.
I've got a grill. Don't worry. Basically, there's a million ways to tie a fly. There's a million ways to make trout. So we'll show you how to do it the easy way.
And I like to go to that knife shop again, so I could get some. I need another frying pan.
Okay, yeah, we'll go to if those don't
was nice.
There's like a outlet store that has lodge stuff and case knives. That's
really? Where's that, Mick?
Just the exit down the way. And if you love good,
it is really nice.
If you want a nice,
it's the exit past. Was it Highway 12? I think
it's exit 127.
Okay, I'm looking for a cast iron French Dutch oven.
Oh,
you'll find it there.
They've got Lodge, and then they've got some brands that are
some other stuff,
way expensive, but they've got good stuff.
Okay.
And so that might be a Friday, run out if somebody wants we could run out there real quick.
Was that Shepherd of the Hills or something like that?
Yeah, Shepherd of the Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
So good place. That's a fun, we'll do a field trip there.
Yeah, I also need to find, I also need to go to that fly shop up that way too.
Readings is
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That's where I even bought my latest Vice, was from Charlie Reading. Cool guy. It's what you really think a fly shop would look like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And neat
Yeah, but
people.
the guy could also double for Vincent Price.
Oh,
Yes.
really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
So I can ask him if he could sing Thriller?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no organization, but we would see his organization. He knows exactly where everything is in that shop.
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll be doing that. And so, as I said, we'll have the flag competition. That will be on that Thursday. Friday is pretty much, that is just in case the weather is bad on Thursday, but knock on wood, it looks good that it'll be Thursday. It's pretty much a free day. That's a free day. Go out fishing, especially meet, from that casting competition on Thursday, talk to people, and then since that's kind of our home waters, they'll ask you, hey, where should I go? And then you kind of know some of the areas we went, and we'll all go fishing. But around 3 p.m., which I'll probably get there a little bit sooner, that's when we get that big pop-up tent out in front of the park store. And it's a really nice Project Healing Waters tent. It's gorgeous. And the more volunteers, we don't want to get too crazy, but if we could have around like 6 to 10, if we have 30, I'm still saying we're happy. But that's when we go out and we start giving the tags for the next day. Some people start buying their tags for the next day. That's when we ask them if they're veterans. We give them out their tags and talk to them, and we got programs and that we could show them who we are and see if they're interested. And again, that's just a good time where there's a bunch of us just bullshitting for a couple hours about all the fish we caught and fun time. So just sitting out there is a good time.
Mick,
You go back
Mike's
to the
bringing down
campfire and
any-
have a smoke and a cigar and a beer and enjoy yourself.
Yep. And so, yeah, if you like cigars, I'm bringing a bunch. You will not.
So am I.
Yeah. So,
Oh God, you guys are terrible. I tell you what, I quit smoking anything about 25 years ago. So
yeah. So again, that's Friday night. We kind of sit out there and just kind of have a good time talking. The cool thing about that is, like, after dinner and it starts getting dark out, Ben Haven, we could hook up with him, the hatchery manager, and we could watch him stock the fish. So if you ever wanted to see how he stock the streams, we go out there. And since this is a big event for us, he puts in about 30 lunkers. So if you ever want, he'll have them where you could take a 5-pound trout and release it into the water, knowing that, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow, so it's a cool event, and it's beautiful because the skies are supposed to be perfect. You see a million stars up there. We're releasing fish. It's just, he'll tell you, probably it's getting wholly renovated and all that. So he might even tell us what they're doing with the new hatchery. So that's,
and you get to watch an eagle catch fish in the hatchery.
Yeah, well, the hatchery is kind of down right now, but you will actually see a bald eagle. There's 2 bald eagles that stay there year round, and if you're fishing there, you will see them. They haven't been hanging around the hatchery because the hatchery is closed until 2025 because it's getting all redone over. So a lot of the fish are coming in from Montauk, and then the
Shepherd of the Hills.
The one from the hills in Branson. So they're kind of bringing in fish. So, but it'll be a good time. Saturday, that is the big day. Again, I will be there for the early volunteer. You guys are welcome to be there. It does help if people kind of swap out with people so they could grab breakfast. The park store opens up 1 hour before the horn goes off. So that means we will be out there at 5:30 in the morning handing out
What's this wee stuff, Kimosabi?
yeah, it's like me and The mouse I'll take with me. So we'll be out there, you know, and if you're around by like 8 or something, maybe relieve a couple of us so we could go grab breakfast real quick. At 9 a.m. we'll say we're done, and then we'll put the tags back in the store, and then we'll kind of close up that tent. And then between 10 and 3 p.m. We'll be at the big tent and that zone 2. You can't miss it. It's a 30 by 60 tent, and we'll have tables in there. So Project Healing Waters, you know, I will have our vices that I normally bring to our tying events. I'll have those out there. So if you want to just sit there and tie, and, you know, we have veterans come in, tie them a couple flies, put them on the table, let them take off with them, go fishing. Roger will be given casting lessons, and it's just where everyone hangs out. And this is not only Project Healing Waters, there will be other veteran groups and just veterans coming in for the day. It will be 300-400 veterans out there having a good time. The Leavenworth program will be cooking hot dogs at the time, so we'll have food and all that for everyone. And so between 10 and 3, you know, we'll be doing a lot of stuff, and about 3 is when we'll say it's done, and we'll kind of, you know, pack up. And then Sunday, fish for as long as you want, but then that's kind of the end of the day and the end of our fun trip. So if you have any questions, you know, let me know. But it's a good time. I will be bringing a bunch of stuff. I think the St. Louis people already saw all the totes I usually bring down. Now I will be bringing that down as well for the other programs, so they could grab some of that free material too. So, you know,
Yeah, and I'm bringing some stuff as well. So
you know, make sure you have a little grocery bag with you, because you could fill up on some fly tying supplies. So I'll be bringing some rods that were donated, tying material, books. You know, I always get books, but if you're interested in books, you know, I've got, man, a lot.
Yeah, there's a ton of books up there.
Yeah, so luckily I got a pickup truck to put those in the back, because there's a lot of books. So again, it's a good time. If you have any questions, reach out to me. You guys should have my phone number already. Call me at any time. If you're coming in late or you need help setting up your campsite or something, just give me a call. I'm gonna try to get some fishing in there, but usually the program leads are running around trying to herd cats. So
yeah, yeah.
so as much as I'd
Yeah.
like to be, you know, I'm gonna sneak fishing in when I can, you know, but for the most part, for you guys, you know, enjoy your time out there, get all the fishing you can, and have a good time. So
About how many people from St. Louis do you know that are coming?
probably about 8 to 10 of us. So we do have Amy and Steve coming in, Margie and I. We got you, we got Eddie, we got Lee, we got Scott. Walt said he will be coming with Kenny. So right there is 10. So it's, you know,
It's all about the veterans this weekend, guys. It's all about you. You
Yeah.
know, that's what Mick and I are coming down for, is to fish with you, and if you need any help, we'll be there. But it's all about you guys. So
yeah. It's a good weekend. It's just a blast. It's
yep.
Hey, just out of curiosity, do you want me to bring an extra rod down to play around and wrapping it down there on the tent?
if you want, there's open tables, so you'll be able to go there. And if you want to showcase rod building, by all means, please do.
I
It's
don't know how. I can't wait anymore.
Oh yeah, and if you can't wade, you know, there's, you know, there are plenty of areas. I know Lee and I kind of like the one by the apron. You know, there's concrete to fish there, and they have a lot of those jetties or little piers out for
Yeah.
you could fish.
Yeah, up in zone 1.
Zone 1 has a bunch of places where you don't need the wade.
I love it. I love by the dam right there. I've caught a lot of fish right there on that little sidewalk by the dam.
Yeah, that's the apron.
Yeah.
Can I bring my gift that you gave me?
Yeah, that works. Just lob it in there and then, you know,
Okay.
Lee wants to eat. That'll bring up at least 40 fish. For all those that know, it's a piece of dynamite I gave. So if you hear a
Grenade.
boom, it's like grab your net because we're gonna load up on the trout. But yeah, it's a good time. It is catch and keep, so you're allowed 4 a day. So
Mhm.
if you know, play it smart. If you want to fish all day, keep 3 on a stringer. Don't put that 4th one on. The minute you put that 4th on the stringer, you are done for the day. And if you try to cast like my old boss, he ended up getting a ticket. You know, they watched him put the 4th on, and he just threw that. The minute that line hit the water, there was a game warden.
They'll take your rod and everything, all
Yeah.
your rigging.
They could do that. He just got a nice $75 fine. So
That's not that bad though.
yeah. So
Wow.
catch and keep, you're allowed 4 a day, you know, but if you want to fish, you know, don't keep that 4th one. The other thing is limit that you could keep on your
8.
person at any time is 8. So if you catch 4 on one day and 4 the next, and you want to go out that 3rd day, you can't keep any until you start consuming those others. It's, you know, Missouri law, it's not my rules, but you know, we'll just say that, you know, that's the laws.
Mick, do they sell fishing licenses there in the store?
Uh,
Yes.
yes, they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, the tags you get in the store, if you need a out-of-state license, you could do it online as well.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
mine-
But you don't have to produce a license to buy a tag.
Yes.
But if you're stopped on the water, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're a veteran with over 60%, a resident and a veteran over 60% disability, you don't need a fishing license at all, but you need your papers with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm a
Also,
I'm a
if you're
non-resident
over-
with 40%, so I guess I'll buy a license.
Yeah, I need a license.
Hey, Mick, isn't there an age limit? We don't need license? 65 or?
I think it's 65, you know, and I'll have to.
It might even be 62.
Lee,
But
you
you gotta
know,
be a resident.
hey,
No,
Lee,
65. It is
you
65.
know about the age limit, don't you? You're
I've
what,
heard a
70?
little bit about it.
65.
I'll
65.
be
Okay.
61 this year, so
Yeah, a couple more years, you get the free fishing.
You
so.
young kids, I don't know.
Hey, and everybody, don't forget, if it gets a little too crowded, don't forget about the Dianga outside the park. because
Yes.
that's
Oh, yeah.
Great fishing there.
Great
Yeah, but you need
fishing.
to have a trout stand.
That's what I was going to say. What Walt just said there, you will need a trout stamp. That's like, I think that's doesn't matter if you're resident or non-resident. It's like $7 a year or something like that.
$10 this year.
$10.
I just bought mine.
Yeah,
I think I have
and
one.
So is that river really that good? Because I'm camping right on it.
it's really
Yeah,
good.
it's good.
It's good.
There's a lot of
Especially-
trout that exit out of the park and hang out there, and that whole river is all spring fed.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, where you're at, John, is good. You'll see people fishing the river right where you're camping.
Okay.
The cool thing with that is it's a mixture of, you know, there are, depending on if you look at Google Maps, you could see it the best. If you go to where you watch Bennett Spring go into the river,
Yeah.
you can actually see the river chocolate milk looking and then the clear stream of,
Yeah.
and you could actually see it, and you get a good mix of smallmouth kind of in a little bit warmer water, and you got the trout sitting in the colder water. The cool thing is they do stock that area with brown trout. So
Ooh.
if you want to catch a brown trout,
There's some big browns.
there's big browns right outside the park. And
Okay.
with the weather getting, you know, a little bit warmer, they're going to start making their way towards
Yeah.
that colder water. You go there in July, August, and those, you know, when it's 90 and all that, those brown trout are making their way back to Bennett Spring and sitting right out there. And you're talking 10-pound browns sitting there. So
Cool. I may have to give that a shot.
Yeah, it's a good
So
place to go.
as we're talking about Missouri licenses, if you're a resident, you can buy a lifetime, whatever, a lifetime license.
Yes.
You turn 60, the price of that lifetime license becomes, it's really small, $10, $15. It's not much.
Yeah.
And even though you don't need a license after you're 65, if you are doing something where you need a trout stamp, you do need that after you're 65. But if you have that lifetime license, you never have to buy another trout stamp either.
Yes.
So it's well worth it to pick it up. Even if you're already 65, that's how many years that you're not going to have to worry about buying a trout stamp.
Yep.
Got a few years to wait on that one.
Yeah, me too. So,
Yeah.
Can you
so any
convert
questions
those
about
emails?
this weekend? Anything?
You gonna be out there, Jim?
No, I'm going to be on my way to Sedona.
Oh, okay.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah.
So,
So like I said, I'll be 61 and I just renewed my stuff. Maybe I didn't need to do it the way I did. So
you're fine. It's all good. It helps Ben. The way I think of it, even on Sunday, I will buy tags for Margie and I. We may fish, we might not, but I know it goes to a good cause. So
Yeah, I didn't buy my lifetime license till I was like 62 or 63. But like I say, you're going to save on those trout stamps. So you never have to buy that. So don't worry about missing a year or two. It's a great deal.
okay, I got both.
all right. So we're 15 past, so I will let you guys go. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. You guys have my phone number from the emails I send out. I will be in spot 110 while we're there. So that's campground 1, spot 110. If you want to stop by, you guys are always welcome to stop by. If we're not there, we're out somewhere, but especially in the evenings, if there's not anything, we'll have a campfire going if you guys want to stop on by. So
Hey,
So
John.
the party's at your place on Friday night?
There you
Friday night, Saturday night. So
John, you could
Thursday
buy John, you can buy that tag online and just print it out.
Yeah, I just
Hey,
opened up the Missouri Conservation, and guess what? I'm already registered with them.
there you go.
Yeah.
It's from 5 years ago. So
All right, I'll let you guys go.
All right.
Thanks
Well,
for
everybody
the
have
evening.
fun.
Thanks a
Everybody
lot,
have
Vic.
fun.
Have a
this
good one,
weekend.
guys.
See you
Have a
guys.
good
See you this
weekend,
weekend.
guys. Take care, Terry.
take care. We'll see y'all
See you,
Wednesday.
Frankie.
Take
And
care.
John, yep, John, you want me to hang on, right?
Yeah, please.
How do I?
Take care. You see.
Hey, Mick,
Yes.
See you guys.
Take care, Walt.
Before you and John start talking, I just, I'm watching you talk about this whole production this weekend. I know that's a lot of work and a lot of organization. And, when you stepped into the job of program lead, you just kind of jumped in, right up to your ears. You had like a trial by fire. I know you felt really overwhelmed at first. You may still feel a little overwhelmed, but I got to tell you, you are doing a great
Good.
job.
Thank
Ditto.
you.
Just,
Yeah,
I
I agree.
I appreciate it, and I know everybody else does too.
Yeah, it usually takes me a year to figure out a job. And like I said, I just started a new job at Boeing today. And I was like, uh-oh, what did I do? Because I knew the last job I had for 13 years. And it was just like, okay, trying something new. And today I went, I'm like, whoa. So it's, I tell everyone, give me a year. And then usually I feel comfortable with doing what I'm doing. And it's much easier now. I kind of know what I'm doing. I could know what I could, get away with. But yeah, it's fun. I enjoy it now. Back then I was like, what did I do? And I feel like I wasn't good enough, but I think everyone's happy and we're having a good time.
You were fine. You were fine. And
Yep.
and like I say, you just you're doing an incredible job. And
Well, I appreciate that, Jim. It means a lot coming from you, because I mean, you taught me a lot of stuff. You taught me how to tie or, build rods and all that. So, you were a mentor. So hearing that from you, it's like, oh, it's like, so,
Well,
much
thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you for your compliment too. That was,
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought you needed to hear that before I left tonight. So
I appreciate it so much.
have a great trip. And like I say, I'm not going to be able to make it, but
Yeah.
Jim, come on up to the Great Plains Bonefish Tournament in August. They'd love to have you come join us.
and the problem with August, do you know the dates of that?
Around the 19th, third week in
Yeah.
August.
So that interferes. I do an annual trip up to the Boundary Waters, and it's right about then.
Okay, well, God forbid I should keep you from the Boundary Waters because I'd like to go there too.
Yeah, well, I'll have to take a look at the exact dates, and if it's the week after, I might make it out there because I'm going to be gone for a week, and by the time I get home, my wife is going to be gone for a week, so I'm going to be batching it for a week. So if that is over the 19th, like I say, I'll check that out. And
Okay,
I'd love to do that. I've never.
Mick's got all the information, so
Yeah. We're gonna, that was the big thing and luckily, like I said, I'm glad headquarters is coming through on with us where we came up with all those flies out that you gave me, Jim, and all that. So Project Healing Water got like $8 grand for that. So basically that's gonna help pay for the Bonefish tournament. So we're good.
Yeah, I just looked at the calendar. 19th is we'll just be getting home. We'll be driving back from Minnesota. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it out there, but that sounds like a pretty cool event. I wish I could make it.
Yeah.
Also wish I could make your Thursday nights because you have so many interesting guests on there, but I have social engagements.
That's good. That's good. You're keeping busy. So.
So, okay, I'm gonna sign off and let you guys take care of business. So.
All right, Jim, you take care.
Take care now.
See you guys in a few weeks.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Basically, Mick,